grassy area behind the press box near the tennis court. Thank you. Automatic with a hoop club. Move back. Move back. Automatic with a hoop club. Have mercy on my soul. Don't let my heart go. Have mercy on me. Have mercy on my soul. Don't let my heart go. Have mercy on me. And I'll care to you. Have mercy on me. Have mercy on my soul. Don't let my
It's the most anticipated game of the football season for the Washington and Lee football team as Randolph-Macon comes to Lexington for an ODAC showdown. Two of the top teams in the conference. Both teams 4-0 through their first 4 weeks of conference play. And after today, only one team will be atop the conference in the ODAC standings. We say hello and welcome to Wilson Field here on the campus of Washington and Lee University in Lexington, Virginia. Thanks so much for joining us on the Washington and Lee Sports Network. I'm Ryan Kyle. I'll be taking you up to and through today's kickoff between the 24th-ranked Yellow Jackets of Randolph-Macon College and the Generals of Washington and Lee. Both teams playing some of their better football of the season of late. Washington and Lee, and winners of their last 4 games, all in conference play over Averett, Hampton, Sidney, Guilford, and Ferrum. For Randolph-Macon, they have won 4 straight as well at Shenandoah, home against Guilford, at Averett, and last week against Bridgewater by a final of 49-16. And the two teams who sit tied atop the conference standings square off here this afternoon in Lexington. The winner of today's game in the driver's seat for the conference championship, as they will have to win just one of their final 2 games of the regular season to clinch the conference championship. Our matchup today, Washington and Lee and 24th-ranked Randolph-Macon. So what are these teams coming off of? Well, Washington and Lee coming off a 34-0 shutout against Ferrum last week. As we dive into some of the stats, the Generals had their best offensive output on the ground this season. 477 rushing yards against the Panthers, 3 rushing touchdowns from Jacob Romero, 2 more from Anthony Crawford. The Generals had over 560 total yards of offense, some really good third down conversions, 9 of 13. They possessed the ball for over 41 minutes in that 34-0 win. It was also the second shutout of the season for the Washington and Lee defense, both of those coming in conference play. The Generals shut out Averett back here at Wilson Field on October 5th, and they've shut out the Ferrum Panthers last week, 34-0 on the road. So a lot of good things to take away from that game. Jacob Romero, another solid game. He now has 764 yards on the ground this season. That leads the conference and is 16th in Division III football this season. The tandem of him and Anthony Crawford have combined for 17 rushing touchdowns as they had all 5 scores for the Generals. Defensively, Washington and Lee got good play out of its linebackers yet again. Jalen Todd, the leading tackler for Washington, only with 8 tackles in that win. But the Generals' defense wasn't on the field for a whole lot. They forced a lot of 3-and-outs from the Panthers. As you can see on your screen, 3 of 12 was Ferrum on third down conversions, and Ferrum only possessed the ball for less than 19 minutes. Last series lost to Washington and Lee. So the WNL defense staying off the field a lot, and they're letting their offense do the work, rushing for a season-high 477 yards on the ground. Something that the Generals will look to have time of possession and good rushing production as they take on Randolph-Macon this week. As for the Yellow Jackets, Randolph-Macon had a big win against Bridgewater. They won 49-16 in Ashland last week. It was a balanced offensive attack for Randolph-Macon. 165 yards from the ground, 210 through the air, a total of 375 yards. The biggest difference in that game, Randolph-Macon taking advantage of Bridgewater turnovers. The Eagles had 3 interceptions. 2 of those were returned for touchdowns by Randolph-Macon, who as a group this year has 5 defensive touchdowns. That's tied with Grove City for the number 1 spot in the nation when it comes to defensive touchdowns. 5 defensive scores this season for Randolph-Macon. They got 2 last week against the Eagles, and that helped them to really pull away a 49-16 win against Bridgewater, as senior quarterback Dante Cassiola was 10-16 for 211 yards through the air, 3 touchdowns passing. He also rushed 6 times for 25 yards and a 4th touchdown. So 4 total touchdowns, almost 250 total yards out of their senior quarterback. And the Yellow Jackets got those 2 defensive scores, which are big in determining the outcome of that game. Randolph-Macon still ranked in the coaches' poll, number 24 in the nation. They entered today's game winners of 4 in a row, and they have not really played too many close games in conference play. 63-0 win over Guilford, a 49-10 win at Averett, 49-16 against Bridgewater. Their closest game in conference play came in their conference opener at Shenandoah. They won 22-21, where they had to go on a scoring drive early in the 4th quarter to take the lead and hold on defensively. But this Yellow Jackets team has scored over 49 points 4 different times this season, and is still one of the most potent offenses, averaging over 38 points per game. They also have one of the best defenses in the conference, and that combination will have to be fully on display. Washington and Lee's top-ranked rushing attack against the best rushing defense is one of the matchups to watch today, but a lot of different things when it comes to this matchup. Last year, when these two teams met, it was Randolph-Macon getting the better of the Generals. Final score of that one, 35-12. Washington Lee scored first in that game, got up 6-0, but Randolph-Macon scored 28 straight points. Reddick Hale had 3 rushing touchdowns. Drew Campanale, 15 of 23 for 215 and a touchdown. He also had 50 yards on the ground, did the Yellow Jackets quarterback, and Randolph-Macon won convincingly on their home field by a final score of 35-12. Last time they were in Lexington, Randolph-Macon also beat the Generals. Washington Lee looking for their first win against Randolph-Macon since the fall of 2021, where the Generals went on a massive drive in the 4th quarter, ate almost the final 10 minutes, and then scored, got the 2-point conversion, and won by 1 in Ashland on the way to winning their last conference championship in 2021. Randolph-Macon has won the ODAC each of the last 2 seasons, including last year having their most successful year in program history, a run all the way to the national semifinals before falling to eventual national champion SUNY Cortland in the semifinals. So an interesting matchup should be on the case today between Randolph-Macon and Washington and Lee. But some other big news coming out of Lexington is a little bit of more of a sad news, but it's something definitely that needs to get touched on before today's game. Former WNL head football coach Frank Miriello passed away earlier this week. Miriello, the all-time program wins leader, someone who was a staple of time here at Washington and Lee, just a guy that has meant so much to this Washington and Lee program, and we send our deepest condolences to him, his friends and family in this tough time after Miriello passed away at the age of 79 earlier this week. But a guy that, when you talk to people here around campus, left such an impact, and one of the people he has impacted perhaps most is Washington Lee head coach Garrett LaRose, who played for Miriello and helped him get his start on the coaching staff and is now leading the Generals in his now 6th season in charge of his alma mater, and someone that he has obviously a great deal of respect for, and has been a tough loss for the Washington and Lee community. So we send our best to the family and friends of Frank Mariello, the former Washington Lee head football coach who passed away earlier this week. Back to things here in Lexington today at Wilson Field. Gorgeous conditions for football on a Saturday in early November. Temperatures in the low to mid 60s. A little bit of a breeze. Should be fantastic football weather as Washington and Lee and Randolph-Macon get together here as they renew their rivalry. First place in the Old Dominion Athletic Conference on the line here today in Lexington with only 3 conference games left. Pivotal for whom may walk away conference champions in a couple of weeks' time. Washington and Lee in 24th, Randolph-Macon. When we come back, we will have starting lineups. We'll hear from senior linebacker Jersey Allentini and get you ready for kickoff here on the Washington and Lee Sports Network.
Can make a difference.
Welcome back to Wilson Field here in the campus of Washington and Lee University, getting set for kickoff between 24th ranked Randolph-Macon and Washington and Lee. A fabulous early November afternoon here in southwestern Virginia as the Yellow Jackets and Generals collide. Both teams unbeaten in Old Dominion Athletic Conference play. Only one of them will be atop the conference standings after today's games. Let's meet the starting lineups, and we will start with the visitors of Randolph-Macon. It starts at quarterback with the senior number 17, Dante Cassiola. The transfer from Dayton has come in this year. He has thrown for almost 900 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. He's also rushed for 5 scores, a completion percentage over 63%. And last week against Bridgewater, almost 250 total yards of offense and 4 combined touchdowns. The main running back for Randolph-Macon to start will be Kwesi Clark. The Yellow Jackets like to rotate in a bunch of different guys in the backfield, especially trying to replace the production of Nick Hale, who was an academic All-American last year, rushed for over 1,000 yards and 23 touchdowns a season ago. The 3 wide receivers to start for Randolph-Macon, it's Cullen Martin, Holden Hodge, and Jason Moore. The tight end for the Yellow Jackets is Landon Forrest. The offensive line a little bit more unexperienced this year for the Yellow Jackets. They lost a couple of All-Americans on the offensive line. They lost 6 all-region offensive players from last year's team and a couple of big guys up front. And it starts with Miles Bridges at left tackle, Christian Deaver at left guard, Storm Janes the center, Colin Hagee the right guard, and Gunnar Diedrich gets the start at right tackle. But this Yellow Jackets offense looks a lot different than it has in the past. Drew Campanale, the Lanier Award winner, the top player in the state of Virginia, not at the FBS level, 2-time ODAC Offensive Player of the Year. Last year, almost 2,600 yards through the air, 24 total touchdowns. You mentioned Nick Hale, who was 3rd in the nation last year with 23 rushing touchdowns. And then you had David Wallace, who had 53 catches for 957 and 12 touchdowns. And then those 2 All-Americans on the offensive line. A much different offensive group for the Yellow Jackets for the team that was in last year's national semifinal. As for the defensive side of the ball for Randolph-Macon, it really starts with the big guys up front for the Yellow Jackets. Owen Aruza, son of head coach Pedro Aruza, as well as Jake Nacarado. Wade Grubbs, an all-region defensive lineman last year, returns for the Yellow Jackets up front. And then Jeffrey Champong rounds out the starting 4 up front. The 3 linebackers for Randolph-Macon, Jackson Deaver to go with Tony Skinner and Daniel Elizik. And then the secondary for the Yellow Jackets, Brandon Evans, Torin Carey Jarrell, Quentin Minkin and Colton Payne are the starters for Randolph-Macon. This defense ranks number 1 in the conference, giving up less than 15 points per game. They only give up 258 yards of total offense, and have the best rushing defense in the conference. Just over 63 yards a game allowed on the ground. We'll see how they match up against the Generals' rushing attack, which is top in the conference and second in the country. As for the Generals of Washington and Lee, offensively led by sophomore quarterback Ty Collins, who last week against Ferrum was 4 for 6 for 79 yards through the air, but also had 11 carries for 71 yards on the ground. Washington and Lee got it done with their rushing attack last week, 477 yards of rushing offense for Washington and Lee. A lot of that led by senior captain and running back Jacob Romero. He leads the ODAC this season with 764 yards. That's over 200 yards more than the next closest person in the conference. He also ranks top 20 in Division III in total yards this season, averaging almost 6.5 yards per carry. He also has a team-high 9 rushing touchdowns this season. The starting slot backs for the Generals, senior number 6 Marcus Payne and first-year number 3 Wilson Axley. The tight end is the senior Evan Novak, who had a couple of catches last week for 71 yards against the Panthers. And then the starting wide receiver for Washington and Lee, the junior number 18, Ian Evans. Left to right across the offensive line for Washington and Lee, left tackle Wesley Howenstein, Kalen Graham, Mason Ryan's the center, Tyler Holliday, and Harrison Donovan. The Generals like to rotate in a lot of different guys, so don't be worried if you see Tucker Jacobson, Jack Clayton, Greg Baffalis, Tommy Holston, and Colton Ballman all getting time along the offensive line as well, as the Generals looking for their best possible matchups against this Randolph-Macon defense. As for the Generals defensively, they've gone to more of a 3-4 front recently, which has allowed them to keep some of their top defensive players on the field. The defensive line starts with the junior captain, number 93, Will Knight. Defensive tackle number 94, Fritz Nottebohm, and O'Keefe McKinney rounds out the defensive line. Starting linebackers for the Generals, the junior number 32, Will Mahmood. The leading tackler in the ODAC, Jalen Todd, 80 total tackles this season. That's first in the ODAC and 7th in Division III this season. Senior captain Uno Christopher and senior number 0, Jersey Allentini join him in the linebacking core. The Generals also have gotten a lot of production out of the first-year number 52, Brennan Stout, 59 tackles this year. That's second on the team, only behind Todd, who leads the conference. The secondary for the Generals has been the same the last couple of games. Senior number 7, Connor O'Malley, he had an interception last week against Ferrum. The safeties, Jack Johnson and Charlie Fleming, and then Gabe Joyner on the other corner, the 5'10 sophomore from Fairview, Texas, making just his third start of his college career, replacing the injured Alan Hagler on the outside for the Generals. Washington Lee 5-2, 4-0 in conference play. They've won their last 4 games in a row, trying to beat the Yellow Jackets for the first time since 2021. We'll step aside. When we come back, we'll hear from senior linebacker Jersey Allentini, get his thoughts on today's matchup and breaking it a little bit more down for us. After that, we will have the coin toss and kickoff coming up next right here on the Washington and Lee Sports Network. Now joined by senior linebacker Jersey Allentini of the Washington and Lee football team. Jersey coming off a 34-0 shutout against Ferrum last week. What did you like out of your team's performance on the road?
I think a big thing we finally did last week was do our job, but not just do our job, but do our job from start of the game all the way to end the game. Had our starter in for like a lot of the game, but then also when we put our backups in, Izzy had finished the game with a nice little interception to kind of keep the shutout alive, which I think was a big thing. Like finish what we've been working on. So we've actually finished the game from start to finish this time.
On the offensive side of the ball, team rushes for almost 500 yards. They keep your defense off the field for a lot of that game. They had the ball for over 41 minutes. When they're working so effectively, how does that open up you guys to kind of change your scheme and be maybe a little bit more aggressive on the defensive side of things?
Yeah, so I mean, definitely offense, love the way they do it. Having their 8-minute drives is something that's definitely been a big help for us. That's why when we get a shutout with them, when we get donuts, the offense will also get donuts because they're definitely a big part of it. Having that time, I guess, to kind of talk about our scheme and stuff is definitely nice because we can kind of like go over certain things we didn't like, kind of talk with the coaches. It's definitely like a good break to have, but also a nice time to get some rest in between. So, I mean, their drives are definitely good, but also just nice for defense. It's really good.
4-0 start to conference play. What has been the driving force for this team to get off to a good start in the ODAC?
I think our biggest thing that we needed was just having energy at practice. We've had energy at practice, we've had focus. I think we've all kind of had that one common goal that we've been looking for, and it's definitely just that ring. So I think kind of having a unified front has been our biggest drive this time.
Defensively this season, one of the strongest parts of your team is part of the group that you work with. The linebackers, you guys, Jalen Todd leading the ODAC in tackles, the emergence of first-year Brennan Stout filling into a big role, yourself, Uno, Will Mahmood, a host of guys that make a lot of different plays. What makes that group so special and something that's fun to be a part of?
Yeah, I think our biggest thing that we have in linebackers is just like the depth and the variability of everybody. We have a lot of guys who have a lot of different skills. Like you have me, who's more like a DB body, but then you have someone like Uno, who's big body, can take hits, can deliver hits. Will Mahmood, same thing. They kind of interchangeably do whatever they want to do. Jalen, who does everything. Brennan Stout, just coming off freshman year, ridiculous season. I'm really proud of him. Mac Palmer, who's also my backup, who like we kind of rotate in. Having the depth there is nice. So we have a lot of depth. A lot of variability. Guys can do a lot of different things, put us in a lot of different positions, do a lot of different packages. I think just having that whole like linebacker crew that can do a lot of different things is what's been really working for us.
You mentioned you also, play a little bit of DB, a little bit of safety, kind of more of a hybrid position on the defense. You work a little bit with the secondary as well. You have to give those guys some love. A lot of returners from the last couple of years, especially at the safeties, Jack Johnson and Charlie Fleming. What makes that group work together and be so well?
I think their capabilities, especially their veteran play, is really nice. I think the biggest thing that our defense does well is communicate. We talk a lot. It's a big emphasis in practice, big emphasis during games, just talking. JJ and Charlie both know how to do that very well, and they also know what they need to do. I think kind of having that veteran mindset behind us, guys that not only work well together, but work well together with us and know what to do is kind of definitely a big that's been in our defense.
Randolph-Macon, the opponent this week. What do you know about Randolph-Macon heading into Saturday?
I mean, they're a good football team. I'm not going to hide from it. But at the end of the day, we're the two top dogs in ODEC, so kind of just looking forward to seeing how we work together.
The Yellow Jackets, their offense looks a lot different than it has the last couple of years. They lost a lot of talent, but have also replaced it with a lot of newcomers. When you guys have started to look through film this week and other things, what are some of the tendencies and things that you like to see that you think favors yourself as a defense? We're going up against a newer offense.
Gotcha. So, I mean, I'm nothing really high from them. They also really love to run the ball, but I think the biggest strength of our defense is our run defense. Chop, our D-line, has been doing an amazing job this year, especially last game. Had a really big week for them. Week before that, they also had a really big game. So excited to see how Chop lines up with their offense. I think we definitely have advantage there. I think our run defense is something that's definitely been nothing to hide from, so I'm excited to see how those kind of things work out on Saturday.
Big postseason implications this week. Both teams sit atop the conference standings at 4-0 with just 2 weeks left after this week. So very big in terms of trying to move into the top spot and walk away with the conference championship. What is going to be the key to victory on Saturday against Randolph?
So I think it's kind of weird to compare the games this week and last week, but definitely finishing. I think we need to be good from start to finish, both teams. I think the only way any team wins this game, well, I think the only reason that any team would win this week is because we finish from start to finish. I think that's the biggest thing. We need to just fly around, be physical, high energy, high focus. I think that we've been doing this whole season is kind of just keep it going.
He's Jersey Allentini, one of the seniors on the Washington League football team. Jersey, thanks for joining us. Best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
I used to never really talk, ever. I was afraid if I said something wrong, everyone would laugh at me. But then I started to play golf with Special Olympics. It helped me to find my voice. And now everyone else is speechless.
Welcome back to Wilson Field here on the campus of Washington and Lee University. Getting set for kickoff today between number 24 Randolph-Macon and Washington and Lee. Two teams unbeaten in Old Dominion Athletic Conference play this season. Only one of them will be atop the conference standings after today. It's a gorgeous fall afternoon here in southwestern Virginia as the Yellow Jackets have already taken the field. The captains making their way out to midfield for the coin toss today. A couple other of notes before we get underway today. A couple of changes to the starting lineups for both squads. Aiden Boyd in for Wilson Axley as the starting slot back for the Generals. Greg Bafalis will start at center over Mason Ryan for Randolph-Macon. Colton Payne slides from cornerback to safety in place of Torin Carey Jarrell. That means Colin Farmer will start at cornerback to replace Payne, and then A.J. Evans-Jones will slide in at right guard in replace of Colin Hagee to start for Randolph-Macon. So the captains will make their way out to midfield here for the coin toss at Wilson Field. Uno Christopher Wilknight and Jacob Romero leading the way out for the Generals as Washington and Lee has taken the field. Both these teams winners of their last 4 games in a row to start conference play. Each of them coming off of dominating wins last weekend. Randolph-Macon beat Bridgewater at home by a final of 49-16 last week. Washington and Lee, it was a 34-point win on the road against Ferrum in a shutout of the Panthers. As we get ready for today's coin toss between the Yellow Jackets and Generals. Ryan Connell with you on the Washington and Lee Sports Network. Should be a fantastic game. It's always a good affair when the Generals and Yellow Jackets get together, and today should be just the latest example of this classic rivalry. Generals last beat Randolph-Macon in 2021 on the way to winning their last conference championship. Randolph-Macon has won each of the last 2 years and has been the conference champion in both 2022 and 2023. So WNL wins the coin toss. See what side the Yellow Jackets go for. Washington and Lee wins the coin toss. And they have asked to receive the ball. So Washington and Lee will get the ball first, going left to right. And from the north end zone to the south end zone, while Randolph-Macon will kick off from right to left. So 2 teams will make their way back to the huddles. Couple of matchups to watch today and things to keep note of. Washington and Lee, top ranked offense in the conference when it comes to rushing, over 330 yards per game on the ground this season. They're going up against the number 1 rushing defense in the ONAC. Randolph-Macon gives up just 63.4 yards per game on the ground. And the Generals have the second best rushing attack in the nation. They will get the ball first, and that will be immediately on display. Randolph-Macon only gives up less than 15 points per game defensively, which also leads the conference and is 35th in Division III. We'll see what the Washington Lee defense can do to slow down Randolph-Macon's offense, which leads the conference and points per game at 38.3 points per game. We'll take a moment of silence for former football coach here at Washington Lee, Frank Mariello, who passed away earlier this week, as both teams will honor him before the game.
Thank you.
So a moment of silence before today's game in honor of the former WNL head football coach Frank Mariello. He passed away earlier this week. The all-time program wins leader. And the Generals and Yellow Jackets doing their best to honor him before today's game. So Washington and Lee will receive the kickoff going from left to right, as it'll be Connor Lehman and Joe Pizzo back deep to receive for Washington and Lee. As for Randolph-Macon, it'll be Kyle Ely to kick things off for the Yellow Jackets. Washington and Lee without Wilson Axley today. We mentioned Aiden Boyd. Will start with him at slot back. Axley also one of the top returners for the Generals. Not in the starting lineup for Washington and Lee today. So Kyle Ely, all-region kicker a year ago, will get things underway here at Wilson Field between number 24 Randolph-Macon and Washington and Lee. Should be a good affair between these two conference rivals, as Ely will line it up and boot it away for the Yellow Jackets. It'll land just shy of the end zone and roll in for a touchback, as W&L will take over 1st and 10 at their own 25-yard line. So it'll be the Washington Lee offense who gets the ball first. Sophomore quarterback Ty Collins will lead out the Generals offense. Jacob Romero, Marcus Payne, Aiden Boyd, the slot back, Seven Novak, the tight end, Ian Evans, the receiver, offensive line, Wesley Howenstein, Kalen Graham, Greg Baffles, Tyler Holliday, and Harrison Donovan. A starting unit for Washington and Lee here in the first. So it'll be Romero to the right of Collins, as Washington and Lee will have it 1st and 10 at their own 25-yard line. First give of the game is to Romero, and he only pushes ahead for a yard or two. Jacob Romero entering the day with 764 yards on the ground this season. That's the most in the ODAC by over 200 yards. The next closest running back, and also ranks top 20 in Division III this season. They'll set up 2nd and 9 for the Generals at their own 26-yard line, as Romero will stay into the game and flank Collins to his left. 140 yards and 3 scores last week for Romero on the ground, as the Generals will go the option to the left, and Collins dives ahead for 3 more yards, which will set up 3rd and 6 for Washington and Lee offensively. This Randolph-Macon defense been one of the best teams in the ODAC this season on 3rd down defensively. Opponents only converting at a 33.7% rate. That's the 2nd best mark of any defense in the ODAC this season. Well, the Generals offensively just about 45% on 3rd down this year. A 3rd and 6 on the W&L 29. Boyd comes in motion to the right. Generals roll out right. Pitch is to Romero, trying to turn the corner, and he only gets to the 32-yard line before he's pushed out. And it'll be an early decision here for the Generals, as the punting unit will come out for Washington and Lee on 4th and short, backed up at their own 32-yard line. So 3 and out from the Randolph-Macon defense will bring out Marcus Gafford, the first-year punter for the Generals. 14 punts this season, averaging over 40 yards per punt. He's pinned his opponents inside their own 26 times this year, trying to flip the field for the Generals. Low snap, Gafford able to get there, and a low-driven ball. Lands at the 30, takes a friendly W&L roll, and will be touched down by long snapper Teddy Sparrow at the 23-yard line. So the Yellow Jackets will get their first offensive possession, 1st and 10 at their own 23-yard line. And this Randolph-Macon offense looking a bit different than it did last year. Also Drew Campanale, Nick Hale, David Wallace, a couple of All-American offensive linemen. They had 6 All-Region players last year on offense, 4 first-teamers, 2 second-teamers that are all no longer with the Yellow Jackets, as Dante Casiola leads out Randolph-Macon. The senior quarterback from Charlotte has started every game this year for the Yellow Jackets. We'll hand off on 1st down to Kwesi Clark, and the pile will push him back after about a 3-yard gain. So a couple yards on 1st down there for Clark. Sets up 2nd and 7 for the Yellow Jackets. Randolph-Macon a very balanced team. Over 200 yards on the ground and about 150-plus yards passing. So one of the more balanced teams across the ODAC this season. Casiola will give off on 2nd down to DJ James, and he's forced out of bounds after a gain of a yard. So 3rd and about 6 here for Randolph-Macon. Washington and Lee trying to get off the field just like what the Yellow Jackets did to the Generals on their first drive. Force a 3 and out and a punt. A 3rd and 6 from their own 27 for Randolph-Macon. 3 receivers split out wide to the left of the formation. Casiola in the shotgun. Hodge in motion. Cassiola back to pass. Looking, drops it over the middle for Clark out of the backfield. He evades a tackle, and he has enough yardage for the first down. 7-yard completion to Kwesi. Clark moves the chains for the Yellow Jackets on their opening drive, as will be 1st and 10 from the W&L 34. So Clark catching that one out of the backfield. A check down from Cassiola, enough to pick up the first down. Got it out of the grasp of a W&L tackler, short of the sticks, and fought for that extra yard. So 1st and 10 for the Yellow Jackets here at their own 34. Clark gets the carry to the right, cuts back across the 40, and he's finally upended at the 42-yard line. Well, Knight in there for the tackle defensively for Washington and Lee. This Generals team running a lot more of a 3-4 front here in recent weeks, allowing the Generals to keep any of their top linebackers on the field as much as possible. It's been one of their best parts of their defense. We heard from Jersey Allentini in the pregame. He talked about how all of them bring such different components to the game. 2nd and short here for Randolph-Macon. Cassiola going to take a shot down the sideline, and this one will sail out of play. Intended target that time was Jason Moore. Connor O'Malley in coverage for the Generals. And now another 3rd down looming here for the Randolph-Macon offense. 3rd and 2 from their own 42-yard line. More of a bunch set. The receiver to either side. Cassiola in the shotgun. He'll call his own number. Trying to push ahead, and he's stopped short of the line to gain. O'Keefe McKinney and Malik Hardy coming together for that tackle. And now decision time for head coach Pedro Aruza. 4th and 1 from your own 43. You forced a 3-and-out defensively. They'll make a change. Bring in Mitchell Johnson into the backfield, and the offense will stay on the field here for the Yellow Jackets. So it's Johnson to the right of Cassiola. 4th and 1 from their own 43 for the Yellow Jackets. Johnson on the give, straight ahead, and he's got enough to move the chains and keep this Yellow Jackets drive alive. So Mitchell Johnson, one of the different running backs that this Randolph-Macon team likes to rotate in between Clark, James, Johnson, and Chapman. Each back bringing just a different complement to what Randolph-Macon is trying to do offensively. So they'll convert a 3rd down and now a 4th down on this opening drive. 1st and 10 from their own 46. Cassiola on the handoff for Johnson. He biles past midfield, and another gain of about 6 yards. Uno Christopher in on the stop for the Generals. Yellow Jackets having success running the ball here early against Washington and Lee. Just across midfield, our first play from positive side of midfield for either team here in the first. Washington Lee went 3-and-out on their opening drive. Randolph-Macon still driving. 2nd and 5 from the W&L 49. It's a quick screen here to Clark, and he gets in space, picks up the first down, and is pushed into his own sideline at the 42-yard line. So that'll move the chains again for Randolph-Macon, who was marching down the field on this opening drive. Cassiola with it back to either side. 2 receivers split out bottom of the screen, 1 alone on the top. Play action. The dump off is to Clark. Catches a block, and that is brought down. Jack Johnson and Jalen Todd able to wrap him up after a gain of 4 yards. Clark has been featured guy here for Randolph-Macon. A couple of carries for 12 yards. Now a pair of catches to his name. So just trying to get him the ball as much as they can here on this first drive. Hill Exton and DJ James will be the running back to the left of Cassiola. Handoff is to James. He turns the corner, gets to the 35, and fights for another yard. And another third down coming up here for the Yellow Jackets offense. So we'll spot him at the 33, which will bring up third and short, just about a yard to go here for the Yellow Jackets. Cassiola on the QB keeper, and that's enough to keep this drive moving. He grabs 4 yards, and it'll be 1st and 10 for Randolph-Macon from the Washington and Lee 29. This is already the 13th play of the first drive for Randolph-Macon. Cassiola, play action, will dump it down low. Moore catches the block, and that is brought down by Jack Johnson after a gain of 7 yards. Short passing and the effective running combination here for the Yellow Jackets as we've crept under 5 minutes to play here in the opening quarter. Washington and Lee got the ball first. They went 3 and out, and since then the Yellow Jackets have been driving. Ross and Martin to the right of the formation, Moore to the left. The handoff is to James, the running back, trying to find an edge, and he will be stood up. Jack Johnson, and they'll mark him a yard past a line of scrimmage, so that'll bring up 3rd and roughly 3 for Washington and Lee, or for Randolph-Macon on the Washington and Lee 21-yard line. Cassiola will come back from the sideline with the call. Another 3rd and short. Yellow Jackets 2 of 3 on 3rd down, and they will take a timeout. So with 3:49 left here in the first quarter, Randolph-Macon calls a timeout. Yellow Jackets 2 of 3 on 3rd down. They even converted a 4th down to keep this opening drive alive. That's gone 14 plays for 56 yards, but they have a 3rd and 2 from the Washington Lee 21. Very much in field goal range here for Kyle Ely, who's 4 for 4 on the season with a long of a 45-yarder. Really one of the best kickers in the conference and the entire South region, so very much in his range. But head coach Pedro Arruza and the Yellow Jackets taking a timeout to try and keep this drive alive and fight for more than a potential 3 points here against the Generals on this first drive. So it'll be 3rd and 2 from the Washington and Lee 21-yard line. Clark to the left of Cassiola. 2 tight ends to the left of the formation, a receiver to either side. It's Ferris that comes in motion. Clark not giving the handoff. Cassiola will take it himself, and he has 1st down yardage, as it's another 3-yard pickup and a chance to move the chains for Randolph-Macon. So 1st and 10 from the WNL 18 as Randolph-Macon enters the red zone. The Yellow Jackets this season very efficient when getting to the red area. They're 25 of 28 in the red zone this year. That's an 89% conversion. And of those 25 times they scored, 23 of them were touchdowns. So not only getting into the red zone and capitalizing into 7 points as well. Clark, handoff on 1st down. He sidesteps his way for 3 yards as he's brought down at the 15-yard line. Second and 7 for Randolph-Macon. Play number 17 of this opening drive, as they have had the ball for almost 10 minutes. Cassiola on the QB keeper inside the 10, dives ahead, and he's brought down right at the 8-yard line. Right at the line to gain. We'll see if it's enough for a 1st down. If not, it'll be another 3rd and short. And it is enough for a 1st down, so it'll be 1st and goal. Now 1st and goal from the Washington and Lee 8 here for Randolph-Macon with 2 minutes left in the opening quarter. Clark to the left of Cassiola out of the shotgun. Go in motion to the right. Clark gets the carry, and he is brought down. Fritz Nottebohm and Brennan Stout able to stop him after a gain of 2. So 2nd and goal from the 6 here for the Yellow Jackets. Trying to punch it in on their first drive of the game, which has salted away much of this first quarter. 2 receivers to the left are Martin and Moore. James goes out wide to the right. Cassiola looking right. Will escape the pocket to his left. Cassiola. And he's stopped by Stout and Allentini at the 2-yard line. 3rd and goal here for Randolph-Macon from the Washington and Lee 2. Each team will make a couple of changes. More of a goal line package. Yellow Jackets will have to run at least one more play before the end of the quarter. It's a 3rd and 2, or 3rd and goal from the Washington and Lee 2. High formation here for the Yellow Jackets. Cassiola hands off for Johnson, and he is in or short. And it looks like they originally marked him short, and it seems like that's where they will stand. So they will say he did not get in. And that'll take us to the end of the first quarter. Scoreless after 15 minutes. A 4th and goal upcoming for Randolph-Macon inside the 1-yard line of Washington and Lee. We'll see what the Yellow Jackets draw up on 4th and goal when we return here on the Washington and Lee Sports Network. Back for the second quarter here at Wilson Field on the campus of Washington and Lee University. No score between Randolph-Macon and Washington and Lee. The Yellow Jackets have 4th and goal from inside the Washington and Lee 1. They've run 21 plays for 76 yards on a drive that started at their own 23-yard line. And it took 12 minutes and 57 seconds off the clock in the first. We'll see if they can punch it in on 4th and goal. Cassiola in the shotgun. He'll call his own number, and he'll dive into the end zone for 6. Randolph-Macon caps off the first touchdown of the day on a QB keeper from Dante Cassiola on 4th and goal from the 1. See it right there, just diving up the left side of the line. And that was enough to get in for our first score in today's game. So Kyle Ely on for the point after. Good snap, good hold, and the kick is through. 7-0 Randolph-Macon after they close off a drive that spans 22 plays, 77 yards, and takes 13 minutes off the clock. A punch in the first touchdown on the day. Each team had the ball once, and it was a tale of two different sides in that first quarter. Washington Lee went 3 and out offensively. Randolph-Macon held the ball the rest of the quarter, and on the first play of the second quarter, punches it in. The first score of the day, 7-0 Yellow Jackets. So Ely will line it up again to kick it off for Randolph-Macon on that opening drive. Cassiola, a touchdown run, 4th and goal from the 1. Went 4 of 5 through the air for 25 yards. He also had a couple of carries, 6 for 20 yards and a touchdown. And a 21-play, 77-yard drive that ends with the first score of today's game and takes 13 minutes off the clock. So Ely counts off his steps and is ready to boot it away. Joseph Pizzo and Connor Lehman back deep to receive for the Generals. This one, Pizzo will field it at the 1-yard line. He's got some blockers as he makes his way past the 20 and is stopped right there. So Washington Lee gets their second offensive possession of the day. 14:50 left to play here in the second. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Generals at their own 21-yard line. After that 20-yard return from Joseph Pizzo. On the opening drive for the Generals, 3 plays, only 7 yards. A couple of carries for Romero, the only other for Ty Collins. We'll see what Washington Lee has here on their second possession. Marcus Payne comes in motion. Romero gets the call straight ahead, and he's tripped up at the 27-yard line for a gain of 6 for Jacob Romero. The Generals offense going to try and give their defense a little bit of a breather. Their defense was on the field for 13 minutes. That span between the first and second quarter. Romero gets it again, nearly lost it, had to go back for it, and he's still able to pick up 3 yards as he's tackled at the 30-yard line, and a 3rd and short coming for Washington and Lee. Generals dominated time of possession last week against Ferrum, had the ball for 41 minutes. But did not win the time of possession there in that first quarter, trying to keep their drive alive right here. 3rd and 1. Romero one more time, and again has 6 yards. Enough for the first down and to keep this drive alive. So 1st and 10 from their own 36. As the WNL offense still trying to impose its will up front against this Randolph-Macon defense. Romero will keep getting the ball as he gets another carry. This time only 3 yards. 6 carries for 23 yards here for Jacob Romero. Only other play in which another player touched the ball was Collins ran the option to the left on the opening drive and kept it himself for 2 yards. Other than that, it's been exclusively touches for the conference's leading rusher. And he will get it again on 2nd and 7 as he fights ahead for 4 yards. Generals 1 of 2 on 3rd down today, have now 3rd and about 3. Romero still to the left of Collins. Payne comes in motion. He gets it on the sweep. Runs into some blockers and does not have enough for the first down. Tony Skinner and Jackson Deaver both there to tackle him. Daniel Elisik helped to seal off the edge there and close down the running space for Marcus Payne. 4th and 1 for the Generals from their own 45 as the offense stays on the field. Anthony Crawford to the left of Ty Collins. Crawford will get the carry. He's tripped up, but does he have enough for the first down? It looks like he does. They got through to him quickly, but he stretched out for that extra yardage and enough to move the chains as they'll mark him for a gain of 2 on 4th and 1. So Crawford gets his first carry on 4th and short. He'll stay in to the right of Collins. Boyd comes in motion. Give his to Crawford. It gets popped out of his hands, loose on the turf. And the Yellow Jackets have it. Randolph-Macon comes up with the first turnover of today's game as they will take over close to midfield. Take another look. This got punched all the way out of Crawford's hands, and falling on it there were the Yellow Jackets as they will take over at their own 39-yard line. So they ran off, making offense back to work after a 21-play, 77-yard drive that resulted in a touchdown and took 13 minutes off the clock. They'll set up at 1st and 10 at their own 39. Clark getting the handoff on first down, and he's wrangled down after 3 yards.
Number 2, Crazy Clark on the run. Plug number 19, Joyner. And number 40, Jalen Todd, also on the tackle.
Washington and Lee. That's the 6th fumble they've lost this year. It gives the Yellow Jackets back the ball here. Already working with a lead and good field position to start out. 2nd and 7 from their own 42. Cassiola, a delayed run, and he only is able to get a gain of 1. Jalen Todd, as well as O'Keefe McKinney, each grabbing a piece of the legs of Cassiola to knock him down. So 3rd and about 6 here for Washington, or for Randolph-Macon, as the WL defense trying to pump up the home crowd. 3rd and 6 from their own 43. Yellow Jackets are already 3 for 5 on 3rd down. They've also completed a couple of 4th downs. Play clock winding down. Cassiola gets it off, looking right, looking short. He's got his target. And making the grab is number 6, Colin Martin. We'll see where they spot him. And it looks like perhaps he's short of the line to gain. And they will move him all the way up another yard or so. And is that enough to move the chains? It is not. And it looks like it'll be 4th and short. And then after some discussion, they will move the chains. So Martin got driven back after catching that ball, but forward progress was right around the line to gain. And that's where they mark him down. It's enough to move the chains. Play clock winding down here for the Yellow Jackets. And they get it off before it strikes 0. Clark. And has about 5 yards on a run up the middle. There's Kwesi Clark. A lot of people frustrated on both sides. That play taking so long to develop because people were unsure if it was enough for the first down or not. And each team a little late getting subs in. Randolph-Macon had to just get it off before a potential delay of game. So they will have 2nd and 4 from the Washington Elite 45. This give is to DJ James, and he is brought down after only a pickup of 1. Will Mahmood in there for the Generals. And another 3rd down here looming for this Randolph-Macon offense. Generals defense trying to come up with a stop on 3rd down to get their offense back on the field. After the Generals fumbled in their last possession. 3rd and 4 from the WNL 44. Cassiola, a run to his right, has the first down, and is finally brought down at the 35. A pickup of almost 10 that time for Dante Cassiola. Randolph-Macon now 5 of 7 on 3rd down. As they will continue to eat some clock here in the second. A 7-0 lead for the Yellow Jackets. 6.5 minutes left in the second quarter. First drive was 21 plays, 77 yards, 13 minutes off the clock. And it resulted in 7 points. Cassiola, play action, has Ferris down the sideline, and he's pushed out just around the 20-yard line. And that should be plenty to move the chains as Landon Ferris sells in his first catch of the day. We'll set up 1st and 10 right at the 20 for the Yellow Jackets. Ferris, the junior tight end, 16 catches, almost 170 yards, and a touchdown this year. His best game came early in the season. He had 6 for 53 and a touchdown against Hobart. Randolph-Macon took to overtime to win back in week number 2. James looking for a hole. Will find a seam for a couple of yards before Brennan Stout can bring him to the turf. Mitchell Johnson will rotate in as the back for the Yellow Jackets. A few more pieces from the sideline as Cassiola will come over to the huddle to call in the play. Receiver to either side. Johnson next to Cassiola on his left. Johnson, a delayed give. Gets around one tackler, trying to stay on his feet. He fights for 2 more yards before being upended at the WNL 12. Gabe Joyner in there on the stop defensively, and another 3rd down here for this Randolph-Macon offense. 3rd and 2 from the Washington Elite 12. So a heavy set to the left. Johnson flanking Cassiola in the shotgun. Cassiola will call his own number again. He's inside the 10, staying on his feet, and is eventually brought down at the 7-yard line, and it's another third down conversion for the Yellow Jackets. This time it'll set up 1st and goal. So 1st and goal here for Randolph-Macon from the Washington and Lee 7. On another drive that just continues to take time off the clock. Randolph-Macon doing well to possess the ball and keep these drives alive. Cassiola bootlegs back out, and he underthrows Cannon Jewell. Had them all open for a touchdown. And Cassiola just couldn't make the throw on target. Jewell had not had a catch yet this season, but on the play action was wide open on the backside for a walk-in 7-yard touchdown. Instead, it'll be 2nd and goal for Randolph-Macon. I'll split 2 receivers to either side of the formation. Johnson, a running back. He'll go in motion to the right. Cassiola, quick throw to the left for Moore. And he is ripped down at the 5-yard line. So 3rd and goal here for Randolph-Macon. This team will make a couple of changes here as we tick under 3 minutes here in the second quarter. A 7-0 lead for the Yellow Jackets. And a timeout will be called by Randolph-Macon. They will use their 2nd timeout as a 2:51 left and a 3rd and goal upcoming. The Yellow Jackets want to talk things over. Randolph-Macon has been in control of this game. Recovered the fumble at their own 39-yard line after Washington and Lee coughed it up. And that started with 10:46 left on the second quarter. And there's now 2:51 left. They nearly used 8 minutes to go 12 plays and 54 yards and are again threatening in the red zone here against the Generals. So this will be the 13th play of the drive for Randolph-Macon. 2:51 left here in the second quarter. 3rd and goal for the Yellow Jackets. Martin and Moore spread out to the right. 3rd and goal from the Washington and Lee 5. Cassiola, the delayed keeper. He is stood up after a gain of a yard. As Will Knight, one of the first guys there to greet him. So the field goal unit will come out for Randolph-Macon here on 4th and goal from the 4. As the Generals trying to get situated, make sure they've got everyone. Kyle Ely out for a short field goal try. This one about 22 yards. And his kick is up and through. So Randolph-Macon capitalizes on the Washington and Lee fumble, turns it into 3 points, and stretches their lead to 10-0 with 2:13 left here before halftime. Washington and Lee has had the ball for all of 6 minutes and 14 seconds here in the first half, as that is 2 drives that have spanned 34 plays, 134 yards of offense, and taken 21 and a half minutes off the clock for Randolph-Macon as they lead at 10-0. Everyone getting situated here for the ensuing kickoff. Pizzo and Lehman back deep to receive again for the Generals, as Ely will be the one to boot it away. His first was a touchback. His second was returned for only about 20 yards. We'll see what he does here on his third kickoff of the game. The Yellow Jackets lost the toss, but will get the ball to start the second half. W&L won the toss, elected for the ball. Went 3 and out on their opening drive. Randolph-Macon went on a 13-minute drive to score the game's only touchdown. Washington Leon, second possession, fumbled. Yellow Jackets took another 8 minutes or so off the clock and now have a 10-0 lead here with 2:13 left before halftime. Ely, a booming kick that Pizzo will not return. It lands in the end zone for a touchback, and Washington Lee will have it 1st and 10 at their own 25. So we'll see if the Generals opt to change things here at all offensively. They've run 11 plays for 47 yards. All of them have been on the ground. But with 2:13 left and all 3 timeouts still in their pocket, perhaps a little bit more mixing and matching of passing and rushing here to try and get some points on the board before halftime, knowing the Yellow Jackets get the second half kick. Jacob Romero has been the featured guy for Washington, at least 7 carries for 27 yards here in the first half, and he is out to the left of quarterback Ty Collins. Payne comes in motion. Collins with nowhere to go, and he is swallowed up for a 5-yard loss. Wade Grubbs, a defensive tackle, one of the first man through. And that'll take us to the 2-minute timeout. So with 2 minutes left here before halftime, a 10-0 lead for number 24 Randolph-Macon against Washington and Lee here on the Washington and Lee Sports Network. Back from the 2-minute timeout here at Wilson Field. Washington Lee trailing 10-0 against number 24 Randolph-Macon. After a 4-yard loss on first down, it brings up 2nd and 14 from their own 20. A couple of receivers out to the right. Collins going to run the option to the right. Pitches to Romero. He's got room to run across the 30. Cuts back to the 35 and has enough yardage to move the chains as Jacob Romero picks up a first down on a gain of 14. So Washington and Lee trying to go a little no huddle. Just over 90 seconds left before halftime. Collins back to pass, looking for Payne. He has him, and he's going to stay in bounds, only for a gain of a yard, and that'll keep the clock running. The Generals again won't huddle. Still got all 3 timeouts in their pocket, and a minute left here in the second, trailing by 10. Collins back to pass. Dumps it off there for Burke Sigelski, and he'll race out of bounds at the 47-yard line, and that will be enough for a Washington and Lee first down. So 1st and 10 from their own 47. Low snap. Collins has to pick it up. Just going to have to try and fling it away, and throws it as far as he can into the Generals bench. Had trouble handling that one. Just doing the next best thing of just throwing it away and cutting his losses. Now 2nd and 10 from their own 47. 47 seconds left before halftime. Collins overthrows Boyd. And it's 3rd and 10 here for Washington and Lee. So the Generals have to go through the air a little bit more on this 3rd drive. And so far, Collins just 2 for 4. 3rd and 10. On their own 47. Play clock inside of 10. And after all that, Washington and Lee will take a timeout. So the Generals will use their first of 3 timeouts here with the clock stopped with 43 seconds left before halftime. Trailing 10-0. The Generals offensively 17 plays for 69 yards. Randolph-Macon has won twice as many plays, 34 for 134 yards. And they have 10 points to show for it on the scoreboard, thanks to over 21 and a half minutes of time of possession here in the first half. They've had the ball twice, and they've scored each time. A touchdown on 4th and goal from the one from Dante Cacciola on the opening drive, and then a short field goal on their last possession, a 21-yarder from Kyle Ely, as the Yellow Jackets in front 10-0. 43 seconds left here before halftime. 3rd and 10 for Washington and Lee from their own 47-yard line, following the Generals' timeout. Landon Payne split out left. Ian Evans to the right of the formation. Romero to the left of Collins. Collins rolling out left, looking to pass, looking for the sideline, and that is hauled in by Andrew Bland. And he'll move it into Randolph-Macon territory. They'll spot him at the 44-yard line. So he got the feet down and inbounds. And then got pushed out of bounds to stop the clock with 37 seconds left. Fourth and 1 for the Generals, as he did not get enough to move the yardage, or the markers, they say. Romero will do so as he lowers his shoulder ahead. And Washington and Lee is going to take a timeout anyways, after picking up the first down. 1st and 10 from the 41 with 32 seconds left before halftime. And the Generals will use one of their 2 final timeouts left. Washington Lee has only attempted 1 field goal this season. Michael Fernandez knocked through a 35-yard field goal at Trinity in Texas back in the middle of September. He's 28 of 32 on extra points, but he has only attempted 1 field goal this year. You have to think you have to try and get him to inside of a 40-yarder or so to feel comfortable with 32 seconds left, and just for his lack of attempts that he's had to this point this year, which means he probably need about another 20 yards here with a timeout and 32 seconds to work with. 1st and 10 from the Randolph-Macon 41-yard line. Collins will sling it out for Evans. He has a blocker, and he is upended right at the first down marker. That'll be enough to move the chains, and Washington will get up quickly and spike the ball, as Collins will throw it in the turf, and he'll stop the clock with 22 seconds left. A flag will then fly. Perhaps it could be for illegal formation with too many guys lined up on the line of scrimmage, but we will see. It's our first flag in today's game, and it comes with 22 seconds left before halftime. So some discussion here still amongst the guys in stripes to try and figure this out. So the penalty against the Generals. since it was a penalty that would enforce a runoff of the clock, Washington Lee will opt to use its final timeout to keep the clock stopped instead of incurring the runoff on the clock with 22 seconds left. So the Generals now out of timeouts. It'll be 1st and 15 from the 36, following the first penalty of today's game against Washington and Lee. So now we have a couple of chances to take a shot here. But now, if anything inbounds, you'll have to get up to the ball quickly and spike it. So you have no other way to stop the clock at this point in time. So the offense break the huddle, come back out. 1st and 15 from the Randolph-Macon 36-yard line following the penalty against the Generals. 3 receivers to the left, 1 to the right. Romero, the running back. It's play action. Collins flushed out of the pocket, has to step up, and he is going to be sacked. Yellow Jackets swallow him up that time. Both Owen Aruza and Jeffrey Champagne. And Washington will have to spike it, and they will do so with just 2 seconds left on the clock. So that'll back them up to 3rd and about 17. And Generals may have one chance to take a shot at the end zone here before halftime. They will bring out 3 of their tallest guys, Teddy Sparrow, Evan Novak, and Charlie Fleming to the right of the formation. And Randolph-Macon will use their final timeout once they see the Generals line up. So it's 3rd and 17 for Washington and Lee. From the Randolph-Macon 38-yard line. 2 seconds left before halftime. Really, all you could do is take a shot at the end zone. The Generals showed a formation with 3 receivers out to the right. See if they elect to keep that perhaps a little bit more conservative going into halftime. But Randolph-Macon gets the ball to start the second half. Meaning that they've had it twice on offense and have managed to put 10 points on the board. So it'll be Fleming, as well as Novak and Sparrow split out wide to the right. Andrew Bland, the receiver, to the left. Romero next to Collins out of the shotgun. 2 seconds left before halftime. Collins flushed out to his right, going to take a shot at the end zone. A wobbly ball that ends up and is knocked down by Daniel Elizik. And that'll take us to halftime, as Elizik able to swat that one down and put an end to this first half here in Lexington. Randolph-Macon has the ball twice. They scored 10 points, used 21 and a half minutes off the clock, and take a 10-point lead into halftime. Dante Cassiola, a 4th and goal rushing touchdown on the first play of the second quarter, and then a Kyle Ely 21-yard field goal on their next possession, as the Yellow Jackets in front of the Generals here after one half of play. That'll take us to a break. We will hear from senior wide receiver Andrew Bland, and more about him during the halftime part of our broadcast. We'll also give you the first half stats, give you some of the first half highlights, and get you ready for the second half with all the out-of-town scores around the ODAC, as number 24 Randolph-Macon has a 10-0 lead over Washington and Lee at halftime here at Wilson Field. Joined by Andrew Bland, senior wide receiver of the Washington and Lee football team. Andrew, team off to a 5-2 start this season, 4-0 in conference play. What has been the start of your senior year been like here at WNL?
It's been awesome. I think the thing that stuck out about this team the most is the team chemistry. We really enjoy going to practice every day. Sometimes, we get a little unserious because we're such good friends, but we're usually able to dial it in. But I mean, yeah, like I said, so far, I just think the camaraderie and team chemistry has been what stuck out to me, and I've been able to form relationships with the freshmen this year too. So it's been awesome kind of connecting with the guys of all ages.
You've seen a lot over the last couple of years here at Washington Lee. What are some of your top memories, maybe one or two top things from football that you remember most over the last couple of years?
Yeah, I would say the first memory is probably Averett, my sophomore year. That was my first game getting switched back to receiver after starting out the year playing a little bit of quarterback, and I was able to score my first career touchdown, and that was really an awesome game because I wasn't really sure what my role was on the team, and then I was able to kind of establish myself as a skill player on the team, and that was exciting.
This week, playing Randolph-Macon, special to you because your dad played football and baseball at Randolph-Macon. You grew up in the Richmond area. Is there a little bit of back and forth between your dad and yourself during Randolph-Macon week? A little bit of pride for both sides of the rivalry?
Yeah. No, there's no back and forth between me and my dad. There's definitely some back and forth between him and his buddies that went to Randolph-Macon. I know my freshman year when we played at Macon, he was wearing the blue and white, and his friends definitely gave him a tough time seeing him. But no, he's full on board with the Generals now, and while he is appreciative of his time at Randolph-Macon, he's more in favor of the blue and white. So there's no tension there.
Football has been one of the big things you've been a part of over your time here in Lexington. What else off the field are you involved in around campus?
So I'm in KA fraternity. A lot of football guys in there. We also got some lacrosse guys, baseball guys. Some NARPs as well. And then, to be honest, outside of that, I'm not really a part of any big clubs or anything. Kind of just focus on my classes, football, and building relationships with my friends. And then outside of campus, I've been doing some internships. I worked at Yates Insurance Agency this past summer, which was a great time, working for a W&L alum, Brooks Fisher. The summer before, I worked for Achieve One. So I'm looking to get into sales and have enjoyed that as well.
That kind of goes right into the next question. Your plans or things you want to do after graduating this May? Yeah,
I'm planning on going to insurance sales. I got my license in property and casualty for Georgia this past summer. I'm not sure where I'm going yet to work, but I'm still working on that. And I really hope to be in Atlanta, and we'll see how that works out.
All right, we've reached the rapid fire round of this interview. If you had to do it all over again and you had to pick a different position, obviously you came in as a quarterback, played receiver, would you do it the same or would you do it different?
I would do it the same because I'm a firm believer of I think everything happens for a reason. I think I am where I'm supposed to be, but I will say if I could, choose a second stint at football, I think it would be really cool to be a safety. I think being a hard-hitting safety is awesome. Seeing Charlie Fleming and Jack Johnson out there, it looks like they have a good time. I'm not sure I'd be as good as them, but it would definitely be cool to try that.
All right, some Halloween-themed questions here for you, being that Halloween is timely this week. Your favorite Halloween costume growing up? Something that you dressed up as and that you maybe have a good memory or so of?
Yeah, I would say Michael Jackson when I was like maybe 8 or 9. I dressed up as Michael Jackson, had the full costume on, had the wig, had the sunglasses. I had the white glove on. And I remember specifically there was one house that we went trick-or-treating at, and they had a speaker going. And as we came up, they were playing a Michael Jackson song. And I remember I got fired up and was dancing to that. So I'd say Michael Jackson was my favorite one.
Go-to Halloween candy?
I'd say candy corn. I think it's really good. I think in excess it's not very good, but I usually have it, for a few weeks out of the year, and I think it's very good.
It has its time and place.
Yes, 100%.
Which teammate are you entrusted to help you get out of a zombie apocalypse?
Jimmy Bailey, without a doubt.
I don't care to explain.
I think you just got to meet the guy. If you know him, I think you'd say the same thing.
All right, we'll get off the Halloween theme. Teammate most likely to become a football coach down the line?
Harrison Donovan. We've talked a little bit about it. He said his dream down the line once he's kind of finished up his career, he'd like to settle down and be a high school coach at a big public school. And I've thought about it as well, but I'd say Harrison Donovan.
All right, last question I got for you. When you look back at your time at Washington and Lee, being part of the football team, going to school here in, say, 10 years or so, what do you want to remember most about your time here at WNL?
I would say learning how to deal with challenges and keeping a positive outlook. Here a lot of people are focused on, the next assignment, finding the job, finding the internship. And I think here I've really learned to, while that can be stressful, kind of take it in one thing at a time and just really attack one thing at a time and overcome challenges. It was definitely tough freshman fall, getting injured, and then getting COVID, being out, missing like the first 4 or 5 games. And I was really kind of down on myself. But as time's gone on, I've realized nothing's really as bad as it seems, and nothing's really as good as it seems, and you just got to kind of ride the waves.
Well, Andrew, it's been great having to see you over the last couple of years. We wish you the best of luck the rest of this season and for whatever the future has ahead. Thanks for joining us here today.
All right. Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate it.
Need tickets to that next event? Well, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got them with soccer anywhere in the world. Tickets to any venue, any sport. Want to go to NCAA or NFL football matches? We've got them.
Yeah.
Baseball at every level. Every Power 5 matchup is available. Don't forget, costumes and paint are optional. What's that? You want to go to Broadway? We have those too. Want to jam out? Every concert, every artist. That's right, at 12 Ounce Sports, we've got the tickets for less. 12ozsports.com/tickets. That's 12ouncesports.com/tickets.
Word on the Street by Key Glock.
Skrilla by Kodak Black. It's one of the hardest songs I know.
It would be No Magic by Hovey.
Dollar Sign by XXX Tentacion. If you were a WWE wrestler, what would your
The students really do come here as leaders, and they continue to build on that through various activities.
Many of our students at WNL take on leadership roles voluntarily and eagerly.
There's also really quiet leaders in the classroom who lead by example, who lead just by being kind, and people want to follow them.
WNL has a type of student very driven. It seems like everybody here finds a leadership position pretty quickly. I wound up in charge of the peer counseling program, student worship band, and my a cappella group.
I do a lot of work with first-year students. When first-year students come and they want to do theater for the first time, I definitely try to introduce them to not only theater professors, but other upperclassmen theater students, so that when they show up to an audition, you can kind of pump them up, calm them down, get them really excited.
As a senior on the team this year, I view my role as passing forward that fantastic experience I had, being able to be a resource for the new first-year class that we brought in.
Succeed long after they graduate from WNL.
Welcome back to halftime here at Wilson Field. 24th ranked Randolph-Macon in front of Washington and lead 10-0 after one half of play, as it's time to dive into some of the stats from the first 30 minutes. Randolph-Macon, 48 passing yards as Dante Cassiola was 7 of 9 for 48 yards through the air, the longest completion of 15 yards. As for Ty Collins, he was 4 of 7 for 31 yards and long of 11 yards, and he was even sacked one time. On the ground, Randolph-Macon, 86 yards of rushing offense, while the Generals 58 yards in that first half. For Randolph-Macon, it's Cassiola, the leading rusher as well. 10 carries, 36 yards, and a rushing touchdown, while Kwesi Clark, 6 carries for 26 yards. For Washington and Lee, Jacob Romero, 9 touches, 44 yards, while Anthony Crawford, a couple of carries for 16 yards, but also a fumble, as that set up the final 3 points that Randolph-Macon scored in that first half. So Randolph-Macon, 34 plays of offense for 134 yards. Washington lead 23 plays of offense, 89 total yards of offense. When you look at third down conversions, that's one of the biggest discrepancies on the stat sheet. Randolph-Macon, 6 of 9 on third down in that first half, including a 2 for 2 on fourth down. Washington lead just 1 of 5 on third down offensively, and 2 of 2 on fourth down conversions. Scoring plays in today's game. It was the first play of the second quarter. Dante Cassiola capped off a 21-play, 77-yard drive that took 13 minutes of time of possession. And then Randolph-Macon, after a Washington and Lee fumble, kicked a field goal with 2:13 left in the second quarter. Kyle Ely, a 21-yarder, was good. That capped off a 14-play, 57-yard drive that took another 8.5 minutes off the clock. And that's why the Yellow Jackets had 21 minutes and 33 seconds of time of possession in that first half, while Washington Lee just 8 minutes and 27 seconds of possession in the first 30 minutes. Randolph-Macon will get the ball first here in the second half. After Washington Lee won the coin toss, they elected to receive the opening kickoff They went 3 and out on their first drive. They gave the ball over to Randolph-Macon. They took 13 minutes off the clock before scoring that touchdown. Then Washington on their second possession fumbled. Randolph-Macon came down the field, took 8.5 more minutes off the clock, kicked a field goal, and the Generals on that last drive before halftime took a shot at the end zone on third down, I should say, and it was knocked down incomplete on a Hail Mary try just a few yards shy of the end zone by the Yellow Jackets defense, and that's where we stand after 30 minutes. Ryan Connell with you here on the Washington and Lee Sports Network. Number 24, Randolph-Macon in front of Washington and Lee. Here 10-0 at the halftime break. Some other scores from around the Old Dominion Athletic Conference here this afternoon. Shenandoah went on the road and beat Averett by a final of 41-14. That improves the Hornets to 3-2 in ODAC play. Ferrum picked up a road win at Guilford by a final score of 20-7 to put the Panthers at 2-3 in conference play. Hampton-Sydney has a lead 28-14 on Bridgewater with about 13 minutes left in the fourth quarter. The Tigers win. They will hand the Eagles their second loss in conference play, as all three of Hampton-Sydney, Bridgewater, and Shenandoah will be all 3-2 in conference play. Winner of today's game between Randolph-Macon and Washington and Lee in the driver's seat for the conference championship. They will be one game clear with 2 games to play, which means they have to win just one of their final 2 weeks of the season with a win here today to close out their conference championship. While those playing for second and third in the conference will be taking part of the ODAC and Landmark Conference's Chesapeake Challenge Bowl Series, which will be both games played at Salem Stadium on November 23rd against a opponent to be determined. But our score here at halftime at Wilson Field in Lexington, Virginia, number 24 Randolph-Macon 10, Washington Lee nothing, as the Generals will kick off here to start the second half. The Yellow Jackets have scored on each of their first 2 drives. We'll see what they're able to do here to start the third quarter. It's been a great day for football. Picture-perfect skies on the first Saturday of November. Great football weather. Temperatures in the low to mid-60s with just the slightest of breeze, but with no clouds. A nice crowd on hand here at Wilson Field. What it has been set up to be one of the most important games in the Old Dominion Athletic Conference this season. Washington and Lee will kick off for the first time today, as will be Michael Fernandez to kick off, going right to left, as Randolph-Macon will go left to right. The back to receive for Randolph-Macon is number 21, Jason Moore, as well as number 2, Quasi Clark. So Fernandez, the sophomore kicker, will get ready to boot us away here in the second half between Washington and Lee and Randolph-Macon here at Wilson Field. So Fernandez with a low-driven ball. It'll roll through the back of the end zone for a touchback, as Randolph-Macon will start 1st and 10 from their own 25 here in the second half. In the first half, it was a rather productive first 30 minutes for Dante Cassiola and the Yellow Jackets offense. He went 7-9 through the air for 48 yards. He also had a couple of carries for a rushing touchdown, as well as and will take it from the left hash mark here to start the third quarter. Randolph-Macon trying to beat Washington Lee for a 3rd straight season, as they look to put themselves in position to win a 3rd straight conference championship. Cassiola will be back to pass, going to the near side, and it is complete for Colin Martin for a gain of 12 and enough to move the chains. So Martin links up for his first catch of the day from Cassiola, as Randolph-Macon has a first down on their first play from scrimmage here in the second half. Washington and Lee defensively, we showed you Gave up only 134 yards of total offense in the first half. They were on the field for 21 and a half minutes. Clark is leveled after he picks up about 7 yards. And just like that, in 2 plays, Yellow Jackets out to their own 44-yard line. Cassiola now 8 of 10 through the air for 60 yards as a squad. Randolph-Macon has also rushed for almost 100 yards. Still averaging just a little over 4 yards per play are the Yellow Jackets. Clark having to cut back to his left. He finds a hole up the far side. Clark will be met by a host of Generals just shy of the Washington and Lee 40. A play that looked like it was going nowhere to start. Clark was able to turn it back to the outside and cut it up that far sideline to move it into Washington and Lee territory. So 1st and 10 for the Yellow Jackets from the W&L 41. Orr comes in motion. Clark gets it straight ahead, and he is pushed back right at the line of scrimmage. Will Mahmood, as well as Randolph Smith and Brennan Stout, drive him back. We'll say he got back to the line of scrimmage for no gain for Clark. That last run, though, prior to that set up 1st and 10 for the Yellow Jackets at 15 yards, was the longest play from scrimmage either team has had so far today. On that last run from Kwesi Clark. 2nd and 10 from the W&L 41. Cassiola will drop it down low. Clark out of the backfield, evades the first tackle, and then steps out of bounds at the 36-yard line. Jalen Todd will usher him to the sideline after a 5-yard catch out of the backfield. So the Yellow Jackets, who were efficient, 6 of 9 on 3rd down in the first half, will have their first 3rd down here on their opening possession of the second half. Third and 6 from the W&L 37. Cassiola hands off. That's Clark, and he will be brought down a few yards shy of a 1st down. Mahmood and Stout both in there again defensively for the Generals. 4th and 2 here for Randolph-Macon, and the offense stays on the field. At the Washington Lee 33-yard line. This would be about a 51-yard field goal try. Mentioned Ely's long on the season, 45. 4th and 2, and with a 10-point lead, trying to pick up a big 4th down. Cassiola on the delayed run, straight ahead, fighting for the extra yard, and he has enough to move the chains. So Cassiola on 4th and 2 picks up 3. And Randolph-Macon is now 3 for 3 on 4th down. So a drive extender for the Yellow Jackets on 4th down. Now the QB keeper from Cassiola. They'll swing it out for Clark. Clark across the 25. Shouldered out of bounds by Jack Johnson. Just inside the W&L 20. And enough to move the chains once again. So Randolph-Macon heads back to the red zone. Already made 2 trips to the red area, a touchdown and a field goal. Driving here to start the second half. Handoff is for Johnson. And Mitchell Johnson is able to navigate his way through for 4 yards. We'll bring up 2nd and 6 from the 15. As this is already the 11th play of the drive for Randolph-Macon. They had 21 plays on their first scoring drive, 14 on their next. And this will be the 11th play of the drive. From the Generals' 15-yard line. The give is again to Johnson, but this time he's got nowhere to roll. Audubon stood him up at the line. Allentini and Mahmoud there to finish the job. So another 3rd down here for Randolph-Macon. The Generals trying to hold the Yellow Jackets potentially to 3 points here in the red zone for the 2nd time today. And they need to come up with a 3rd down stop. Or across the right of the formation. A rollout from Cassioli. Dumps it down to Moore. Allentini is able to pull him out. And they will spot him shy of the line to gain. So that'll be 4th and short coming here for Randolph-Macon. It'll be 4th and potentially about 3 yards. The offense will now come off the field. A late change as the field goal unit will come hustling on with 22 seconds left on the play clock. So Ely will get set from the right hash. This will be a 29-yard try. Good snap, good hold. The kick is knocked right on through. So the Generals hold the Yellow Jackets to a field goal. But Kyle Ely knocks through a 29-yarder to extend the Randolph-Macon lead to 13-0. So that drive goes 12 plays. Over 60 yards down the field. It results in 3 more points. And similar to like they did in the first half, the Yellow Jackets controlling time of possession. They uses more than half of the 3rd quarter to put another field goal on the board and extend their lead to 13-0. A 12-play, 63-yard drive. It settles for 3 points for the Yellow Jackets. They have a 13-0 lead. Joe Pizzo and Connor Lehman back inside the 5 to receive for the Generals. Ely will boot this one all the way through the end zone, as that'll be a touchback. And the Generals will take over 1st and 10 at the 25. It was a 3-and-out on the first possession of the game for the Generals. A fumble on their second, and then their 3rd possession of that first half. Ended the first half when the Hail Mary try with time running out was knocked down. So Washington Lee, who got the ball 3 times in the first half, has nothing to show for it. They ran 23 plays for 89 yards. As Ty Collins and the Generals offense takes back to the field, 1st and 10 at their own 25. The option to the left, Collins to the 30, and he's swallowed up there. Grubbs and Deaver each wrap him up. A positive yard play on 1st and 10 for the Generals. That was just Collins' just 3rd rush of the day. A lot of the touches have gone to Jacob Romero. Marcus Payne will get a carry, and he is met right at the edge. Tony Skinner and Daniel Elizik. Each there to greet Payne for only another yard or two. 3rd and about 2 for the Generals at their own 33. Romero to the left of Collins. He'll get the call on 3rd and short, and he's got maybe a yard. He got upended right at the line. He got tangled up underneath the pile. Give him a yard on the ground, which will bring up 4th and 1. Under 6 minutes to play here in the third, down 13 points. All offense stays on the field. 4th and 1 from their own 34. Romero to the right of Collins. And the Generals will take a timeout. And so, some discussion amongst line judge in the WNL sideline, but Washington Elite very clearly calling a timeout. They seem to be displeased with something that the line judge may or may not have seen. However, they will burn a timeout here. What seems to be a very important junction of this game. Down 13 points. There's less than 6 minutes left here in the third quarter. Your offense has been able to move the ball for less than 100 total yards of offense. If you don't pick up a 4th and 1, you give the opposition the ball inside your own 35, already up by 13 points, and in position to go up by perhaps as many as 3 scores. But if you put your defense back on the field, they've already had to play 29 minutes of defense because you've only possessed the ball for less than 10 minutes in today's game. It's a gamble perhaps you're willing to risk. Red coach Garrett LaRose. 4th and 1 from your own 34. Bring the offense on the field. Collins out of the shotgun. The give is to Romero. And he is stopped short. Randolph-Macon is pleading that he was definitely stopped short. But we'll see if they spot him enough for the first down. Hard to tell from this angle. It appears that may not be enough. And after some discussion, it is. And now the Randolph-Macon sideline. Not too happy with how things may have played out. They thought they got to Romero before they got the line to gain. It took some sorting out. But eventually the first down was awarded to the Generals. Under 5 minutes to play here in the third. WNL goes to 3 for 3 on 4th down conversions, but still just 1 of 6 on 3rd down. Romero, another carry, and this time he piles ahead for 3 yards.
Ball be spotted at the 39-yard line. Second down and 6.
So Romero up to 50 yards on the ground on 12 carries. He has had to work for it, his longest only a run of 14. He gets the pitch and he gets lit up as he gets it. Ball loose on the turf, and the Yellow Jackets come away with it. A big turnover forced by Randolph-Macon as Washington Elite has fumbled it for the second time here today. This one, Romero didn't stand much of a chance as he was lit up as soon as he got the ball. And then it bounced around on the turf, and the scrum after it landed in favor of the Yellow Jackets as Romero is still down behind the play for Washington and Lee. .408 left here in the third quarter. A 13-0 lead for Randolph-Macon. as Romero is down for Washington and Lee. His second turnover of the game. A fumble lost by the Generals, which will set up Randolph-Macon in great field position as Romero is able to get back to his feet and make his way to the home sideline. He took a big wallop at time as he went to catch the ball. Didn't get necessarily put in a great spot by his quarterback on the pitch, but there was not much he could do. Someone come at full speed, lit him up right in the chest. The ball was loose on the turf, and it was the Yellow Jackets that came away with it. So 1st and 10 for Randolph-Macon for the Washington and Lee 37-yard line. With 4:08 left here in the third, Yellow Jackets force a turnover and now have 1st and 10 on Washington and Lee's side of midfield. Cassiola under center. Throw it back. Looking for a double pass, and the Generals had it sniffed out. That was Gage Pennington who caught that one behind the line. The Generals had sniffed out the double pass the whole way. That's a loss of 7 yards for Randolph-Macon. So second, and what will be 16 or 17 for the Yellow Jackets now from the Washington and Lee 44. Try to take a shot after the turnover, but the Generals had it snuffed out. Cassiola now going to air it out down the sideline. This one is out of bounds for his intended target, which was Bassett Quadri down the near boundary. Third and 16 for Randolph-Macon from their Washington and Lee 44-yard line. Two receivers to the left, one split out wide to the right. That's Moore that comes across in motion. Cassiola looking over the middle, and it goes through the hands of Gabe Joyner. He overthrew his target in Colin Martin. And now with 4th and long, looks like we will see the Randolph-Macon punting unit for the first time here this afternoon. Jordan Etz, the sophomore punter. Ball's marked at the WNL 44. All you have to do is a short pooch here to get this pin back deep inside the 20. Etson, 27 punts this year, has pinned 5 inside the 20, averaging over 40 yards per punt. Yellow Jackets will get it off. It's a short kick. It'll land at the 15 with some backspin, and it's fallen on that time by Jackson Deaver at the 17-yard line, and that's where Washington and Lee will take over. A 27-yard punt from Etz, but an effective one that pins the Generals inside their own 20, and Washington and Lee will get the football back with 3:05 left here in the third, trailing 13-0. So Romero back in at running back for the Generals, the left of Collins after he took that big hit on the last possession. That led to the fumble. He'll get the carry here on 1st down, and he only is able to gain 2 yards. And now a WNL lineman down at the bottom of the pile. So a player down for the Generals here with 2:49 left. As the athletic training staff will come out to attend to an injured offensive lineman for the Generals. Washington and Lee trying to build something on the offensive side of things. They've run 30 plays for 101 yards. It has been tough sledding against this Yellow Jacket defense. Randolph-Macon has already had a couple of shutout in conference play earlier this year against Guilford. They've given up less than 15 points per game. As Tyler Holliday was the man down for the Generals, makes his way slowly to the Washington and Lee sideline, so Tommy Holstead will come in into his place. 2nd and 8 for Washington and Lee from their own 19-yard line, trailing 13-0. Less than 3 minutes left here in the third. Romero to the left of Collins. High snap. They get it down. And Romero is only able to get a yard or two. So 3rd and 6. From their own 21 for W&L. They have struggled on third down here today. Just 1 of 6 on third down conversions. The give is to Romero, and he is bottled up after a gain of 1. Wade Grubbs, the first man to hit him, and out comes Marcus Gafford for the second W&L punt of the day. 4th and 5 from their own 22. The Generals will bring the punting unit back on the field. Gafford, his only other punt today, a 45-yard punt. That came on the Generals' opening possession to start the game early in the first. Gafford gets this one away. Fair catch called for and hauled in at the 38-yard line. That one brought in by Holden Hodge, and that's where the Yellow Jackets will take over. The successful punt that time of 40 yards for Gafford helps to flip the field. As Randolph-Macon will have it, leading 13-0 with 1:20 left in the third. 1st and 10 at their own 38. So it'll be a 4 wide receiver set here for the Yellow Jackets. 2 to either side. Handoff is to James. And he's knocked into the Generals bench after a pickup of 2. Brennan Stout helped to usher him to the sideline. Connor O'Malley there as well. Handoff making 49 plays, 192 yards of total offense. Gotten it done on the ground. 114 yards so far. James will get another carry here on 2nd and long, and he will only make it back to the line of scrimmage. Malik Hardy at the bottom of that pile. Same with O'Keefe McKinney. With time winding down here on the third quarter, we'll see if Randolph-Macon's in a rush to get one off before the start of the fourth or not. About a 7-second differential between game and play clock. As the Yellow Jackets will break the huddle with 5 seconds left in the quarter. And they will not even get set. Third quarter comes to a close. Randolph-Macon adds a field goal. And the 24th ranked Yellow Jackets are up 13-0 after 3 quarters here at Wilson Field. We'll see what the fourth has in store when we return right here on the Washington Lee Sports Network. Start of the fourth quarter here at Wilson Field in Lexington, Virginia. Number 24, Randolph-Macon in front of Washington and Lee, 13-0. A 3rd and 8 for the Yellow Jackets from their own 40-yard line. Ryan Connell with you on the Washington and Lee Sports Network. Dante Cassiola back to pass here for the Yellow Jackets. Looking left, has his target. First down yardage, and it is hauled in for the first down by Bassett Quadri as the Yellow Jackets will move the chains. They are now 7 of 13 on 3rd down here today. And it's been back-breaking 3rd down conversion, one after the next. Yellow Jackets have possessed the ball for over 30 minutes entering this final quarter. They've scored on 3 of their first 4 drives of the game, including their first and only touchdown drive, which went 21 plays, 77 yards, and took 13 minutes off the clock between the first and second quarter. On 1st and 10, it is a play-action pass for Quadri as the flag flies before he is pushed out of bounds. And this will be just the second flag in today's game. There was only one in the first half, none in that 3rd quarter. And it looks to be like a holding call against the Yellow Jackets, which will back them up into their own territory here early in the 4th. But a rushing touchdown from Cassiola on 4th and goal on the first play of the second quarter. A pair of field goals by the Yellow Jackets kicker Kyle Ely have Randolph-Macon in front 13-0, as that's a holding call against Randolph-Macon. So it'll be first and about 15. Check that, 1st and 20 from their own 42. Or Randolph-Macon. Cassiola. This one thrown in between a couple of targets and batted down. So incomplete, intended for Jason Moore. Nathaniel Quantz was also in the area. We'll see what Washington and Lee can do defensively here to try and get their offense back out on the field. They've held Randolph-Macon to 13 points, a team that averages over 38 points per game, the most in the conference. They've kept them to just 203 yards of total offense here through the first 3 quarters and have them 2nd and 20 at their own 42. Cassiola, the time to operate in the pocket. He's able to escape and run out of bounds after a couple-yard pickup. Home sideline not happy that Uno Christopher perhaps was getting a little bit held trying to get to the quarterback in Cassiola. It'll still be a 3rd and long here for the Yellow Jackets after he was able to scramble for 4 yards. 3rd and 16 from their own 46-yard line. 2 receivers to either side of the formation. Cassiola against the pressure, steps in and has it batted down at the line. The Generals got their hands to it, and it'll bring up 4th down, and we will see the Randolph-Macon punting unit for the 2nd time today. The Generals come up with the stop they needed defensively with 13:09 left here in the 4th. And now 4th and 15 for the Yellow Jackets, and we will see sophomore punter Jordan Etz. His first punt only went 27 yards, but that's all it needed to, as it pinned the Generals inside their own 20 at the 17-yard line. This one he will punt from his own 46. Joe Pizzo standing back with his heels at the 10. A high punt from Etz. Pizzo up to field it, and will call for the fair catch and bring it in at the 22-yard line. So about a 42-yard punt that time from Etz. The Generals will have it 1st and 10 at the 22 with 13:01 left here in the 4th quarter. Washington Lee offensively, 32 plays, just 106 yards from scrimmage. as they have been held in check here this afternoon. Only 75 yards on the ground for a team that rushed for 477 last week against Ferrum. Ty Collins to pass. He finds Romero out of the backfield, and it's only a pickup of a yard or two on the dump off to Jacob Romero. Washington Elite, a team doesn't really like to throw a whole ton. Gotta be having to force their hand here. Trailing by 2 scores in the fourth quarter. Comes to Marcus Payne on a sweep. He jukes through one defender, and then the second is met after a pickup of 10 yards and enough for a Washington Elite first down. Just the third carry of the day for Marcus Payne, but he rips off a 10-yard run and extends this drive. A little bit more tempo here for the Generals. Romero right up the gut, and a 2-yard carry for Jacob Romero. Leading rusher in the conference, 17 carries for 55 yards today. Not super efficient for a guy that entered the day averaging over almost 6.5 yards per carry. Randolph-Macon has limited him to just over 3 yards per rush here this afternoon. He gets the call again on 2nd and 8 and only has a yard, maybe 2. Just not the space to operate for Romero like he has seen in recent weeks, as Randolph-Macon has done a good job of clogging up the running lanes, and they've pushed the Generals into another third down. 3rd and 6 from the 37. Washington Elite just 1 of 7 on 3rd down offensively here today. Collins, a check down for Romero. He runs up the sideline, gets across midfield. He's got room to run. Jacob Romero all the way in for a Washington Elite touchdown. A 63-yard pitch and catch from Collins to Romero. And the Generals have life here in the fourth. So the dump down to Romero. A good block on the outside, and he will not be caught. Jacob Romero, a 63-yard receiving touchdown, gives the Generals life here in the fourth. Michael Fernandez on for the point after, and he pokes it through. And the whole complexion of this game has changed. It's 13-7 with 10:47 left in the fourth. The longest play from scrimmage from either team here today. Before that 63-yard touchdown from Romero was a 15-yard catch by Landon Ferris. Jacob Romero takes the top off the defense, a 63-yard touchdown catch on the pass from Ty Collins, and it's a one-score game here in the fourth. Generals had just 32 yards of passing before that play. That was a 63-yard completion. Twice as many passing yards on that one play they did for the entire first 3 quarters. Michael Fernandez will line up the kickoff for the Generals, as they are able to push through finally for some points against this Randolph-Macon defense. And a booming kick from Fernandez. A land and roll through the back of the end zone for a touchback. As the Randolph-Macon offense will go back to work. 1st and 10 at their own 25. So Collins to Romero on Collins' 7th passing touchdown of the season. First receiving touchdown of the year for Jacob Romero, his 10th total touchdown this year. And the Generals have changed the complexion of this game They brought the crowd back into it here at Wilson Field. 13-7, number 24, Randolph-Macon in front of Washington and Lee. 10:47 to play here in the fourth. 1st and 10 for the Yellow Jackets from their own 25-yard line, with a running back to either side of Cassiola. Cassiola to dip down for Clark, and he's hit for a loss. Charlie Fleming stepping up to make the tackle for a 1-yard loss. The Generals, who have been on their back foot for most of this game, as Randolph-Macon was able to possess the ball heavily in the first half and much of the third quarter. They break off one big play after holding the Yellow Jackets to a couple of field goals, find themselves only trailing by 6 here with 10 minutes left in the fourth. Cassiola is sacked. Fritz Nottebohm and Uno Christopher get him in the backfield for a 4-yard loss. So a couple of big plays on 1st and 2nd down from the W&L defense. Brings up 3rd and 14 for Randolph-Macon, as the crowd gets to their feet here at Wilson Field. The Yellow Jackets 7 of 14 on 3rd down here today. 3rd and 14 from their own 21. Cassiola back to pass. He's got time over the middle. He has his target in James, fighting for the yardage, and he has enough to move the chains. On 3rd and 14, he gets 15. And after 2 good plays from the W&L defense, a back-breaking 3rd down conversion from the Randolph-Macon offense extends this drive for the Yellow Jackets. They are now 8 of 15 on 3rd down. And time after time when they've had to deliver, the Yellow Jackets have come through. 1st and 10 from their own 37. James gets the carry, a sweep out to the left, and he's knocked ahead for a 4-yard gain. So after Washington, Lee comes up with a good couple of plays on the first 2 defensive plays of the drive. Randolph-Macon counters back with a punch of their own on 3rd down. 8 minutes and counting off the clock here in a 13-7 game. Johnson flanks Cassiola. He gets the call, and it was blown dead for a false start before the play was even snapped. So that'll back up the Yellow Jackets 5 yards, and it'll be 2nd and 11. So we'll bunch up the formation. Trips to the right. Cassiola, the quick pass out for Clark. He's got blockers in front, spins past the 40, and is brought down at the 43-yard line. So Clark able to get back about 6 or 7 yards on 2nd and 11, and it brings up another key 3rd down here for Randolph-Macon offensively. And this is where they have thrived today. 8 of 15 on 3rd down. 3rd and 5 from their own 42. Crowd gets to its feet here at Wilson Field. Cassiola at the shotgun, looking left. He's got Quadri, enough for the 1st down across the 40, inside the 35, and he is wrapped down there. And yet again on 3rd down, the Yellow Jackets make the right call and pick up big yardage. Pass it, Quadri. Hauling in that one. A gain of 20 that time by the Yellow Jackets, their longest play from scrimmage today. That flips the field as they are now all the way down to the Washington and Lee 32. 6 minutes to play in the fourth here in a 13-7 game. Cassiola under center. He hands off for Clark to the right. Clark gets to the 30, and he's knocked down there. Host of General is there to greet him after a couple of yards for Kwesi Clark.
Also, number 20, Jack Johnson in on the tackle. Ball will be part of the 29-yard line. Second down and 7.
Generals have 2 timeouts left, 5.5 minutes remain. The 2-minute timeout as well. A 6-point game, but Randolph-Macon driving. With what Yellow Jackets been able to do so far here today. Key third down conversions and possess the ball. They've had the ball for well over 35 minutes, closing in on almost 40 minutes to time of possession. And it will take a timeout to the Yellow Jackets here on 2nd and 7 from the Washington lead 29. So Randolph-Macon will utilize their first timeout. 5:06 left here in the fourth. This drive for the Yellow Jackets. 7 plays, 43 yards. It came after the Washington and Lee touchdown. That happened at 10:47 here in the fourth. So they've had the ball already for 5 minutes and 41 seconds here on this drive. And if they can continue to do like they did earlier in this game, scoring drives of 13 minutes, 8.5 minutes, and 7.5 minutes for the Yellow Jackets. A touchdown on the first, field goals on the next 2. Try and stretch this back to a 2-score lead. If they're able to take a few minutes more off the clock and make it a 2-score game, it'll make things a lot more difficult for Washington and Lee. Remember what's at stake in this game? Both these teams tied atop the conference standings at 4-0. A win for either team puts them in the driver's seat for the top spot in the conference, as they will be the only unbeaten team left in conference play with 2 weeks remaining, meaning they only have to win one of their final 2 games to win the conference and get a bid to the D3 playoffs. Cassiola will call his own number on 2nd and 7, and he is wrangled down after a pickup of 1. That's what's at stake here. Not only first place after today, but putting yourself in a position to win the conference if you win one of the final 2 weeks of the season. Washington and Lee searching for its first conference championship and its first win against Randolph-Macon since 2021. While the Yellow Jackets looking for a 3rd straight conference championship. Another big 3rd down here. 3rd and 6 from the Washington and Lee 28. Cassiola out to his left, finds his target. It's Quadri. And does he have enough for the first down? He does, as he is tackled at the 20-yard line, and that will move the chains again. The 10th 3rd down conversion of the afternoon for Randolph-Macon. And this one will set them up inside the red zone. 1st and 10 at the 20 with 4 minutes left in the fourth. Calls on 3rd down for the Yellow Jackets have been pivotal this afternoon. It's a late example right there. Give here is for Mitchell Johnson. He busts ahead for 5 more yards. This drive for Randolph-Macon started with 10:47 left on the clock. It's now 3:20 and counting, and they still have the football inside the red zone. 2nd and 5 from the Washington and Lee 15. Another drive that's gone over 7.5 minutes as they try and put this game on ice. What does the Generals defense have to try and make a stand. Cassiola out of the shotgun. Hands off for Johnson. Johnson staying on his feet and trickling his way inside the 10 to set up first and goal.
Brought down by number 42 and Todd, number 20, Jack Johnson.
So that's first and goal from the 8 for Randolph-Macon. As they put themselves in prime position. They will have to take one more snap before the 2-minute timeout. Washington Lee still has 2 timeouts left. But the Yellow Jackets in a great spot here. Up 13-7. First and goal from the W&L 8. Johnson, the running back, to Cassiola's right. They go back to him. Runs into the pile and dives down at the 5-yard line, and that'll take us to the 2-minute timeout. So we've reached the 2-minute timeout here in the fourth quarter. Number 24, Randolph-Macon, in front of Washington and Lee, 13-7 here at Wilson Field. Second and goal from the 6 upcoming for the Yellow Jackets when we return right here on the Washington Lee Sports Network. Out of the 2-minute timeout, number 24, Randolph-Macon leads Washington and Lee 13-7. Second and goal from the 6 for the Yellow Jackets. Ryan Connell with you on the Washington and Lee Sports Network. Dante Cassiola out of the shotgun with Mitchell Johnson to his right. Cassiola on the delayed call. Cassiola straight ahead. And they will mark him just shy of the end zone. And Washington and Lee will burn their second timeout. He gets all the way inside the 1, but not into the end zone, does Cassiola. That sets up third and goal, less than a yard, as Washington and Lee will use their second of 3 timeouts. The only other touchdown that Randolph-Macon scored in today's game came on 4th and goal. Back on the first play of the second quarter, the Yellow Jackets drove all the way down the field much of the first quarter and punched it in on 4th and goal from the 1 on the first play of the second quarter to take a 7-0 lead. They added a couple of field goals, went up by as much as 13-0. Then Washington and Lee on their last drive, a short pitch and catch from Ty Collins to Jacob Romero out of the backfield. Romero took it up the sideline for his 63-yard receiving touchdown, and the Generals made it a 13-7 game with 10:47 left. They gave the ball back to Randolph-Macon, and they've been driving ever since. The Yellow Jackets have run 13 plays for 69 yards and now have it at 3rd and goal from the 1-yard line. So 3rd and goal here for Randolph-Macon. Inside the 1. It's Cassiola into the end zone for a Yellow Jackets touchdown. On 3rd and goal, Dante Cassiola with his second rushing touchdown of the day, and the Yellow Jackets have added to their lead. So that'll bring out Ely for the point after. And Kyle Ely will knock it through as Randolph-Macon goes up 20-7. Couple of flags fly behind the play. But that last rush there from Cassiola into the end zone for a touchdown, capping off a drive that took 9 minutes off the clock here in the fourth quarter for Randolph-Macon. The penalty was declined as it is a 20-7 game. 14 plays, 75 yards, and 9 minutes off the clock for Randolph-Macon in the fourth. A game-clinching drive from the Yellow Jackets as they will kick off with 1:47 left here in the fourth, leading by 13. So Ely will put it on the tee to boot it away. Randolph-Macon has possessed the ball for 42 minutes and 27 seconds here today, including that 9-minute drive in the fourth quarter. 14 plays, 75 yards, just capped off by Dante Cassiola's second rushing touchdown of the day, and that has the Yellow Jackets in front 20-7. Ely will boot it away here with 1:47 left as Joseph Pizzo will field it at the goal line. Pizzo upended right before the 25 as Washington and Lee's offense will take back to the field. And it's time to move quickly for the Generals, down 13 with just one timeout left. So will Ian Evans, Andrew Bland, and Dryden Duggins, three wide receivers. Empty backfield with Ty Collins, the slot backs, Michael Schoenberg and Marcus Payne. Collins, quick pass to the outside for Bland, and he is stood up right at the line of scrimmage. Driven back that time by Colin Farmer, who comes up with the stop for the Yellow Jackets. Collins, a roll out to his right. Will dump it off for Schoenberg, and he'll only get a couple of yards as Tony Skinner helps to put an end to that play after a pickup of 3. So 3rd and 7 from the 27, 1:11 left here in the fourth. Collins has it knocked into the air, and it will fall to the turf. Jeffrey Champagne on the D-line, getting his hands to it for the Yellow Jackets. As the visiting sideline fired up. 4th and 7 here for the Generals from their own 27. If they fail to pick this up, it's a couple of kneel downs for the Yellow Jackets. And way to start in conference play, 5-0 with a 5th straight win. Collins fakes the handoff, has to evade the rush. Collins nowhere to go. Gonna spin it back to the right side. Collins just looking over the middle, and that will fall incomplete. So the Generals turn it over on downs with 54 seconds left in the fourth. And Randolph-Macon on the verge of closing out this game here in Lexington. It will only take a pair of kneel downs for the Yellow Jackets for this game to be final. They will line up in victory formation. Dante Cassiola under center. They'll take a step back and take a knee as time will tick off the clock here in Lexington. Randolph-Macon will win its 5th straight game and improve to 7-1 on the season. Getting the better of the Generals here today by a final of 20-7. Line up as the clock goes under 40 seconds. And take one final kneel down as Cassiola will put the final touches on this victory for Randolph-Macon. the Yellow Jackets will be the only team left unbeaten in ODAC play. And if they win one of their final 2 games of the regular season, they'll win the automatic bid in the conference championship after defeating the Generals of Washington and Lee here today by a final of 20-7. So Randolph-Macon stands alone atop the ODAC at 5-0 with a win over Washington and Lee here this afternoon. Dante Cassiola, a couple of rushing touchdowns, a few field goals from Kyle Ely, and key third down conversions by the Randolph-Macon offense as they seal the victory on the road and beat Washington and Lee for a 3rd straight season. 20-7 the final score here in Lexington this afternoon. So the final touches put on by Randolph-Macon. Cassiola finishes 17 of 23 through the air for 144 yards. He also rushes 16 times for 48 yards and a pair of rushing touchdowns as Randolph-Macon is victorious over Washington and Lee. The final score 20-7. So you look at some of the final stats from today's game. 70 plays of offense for the Yellow Jackets, 285 yards. Washington and Lee only ran 41 plays and had 187 yards of total offense. Randolph-Macon, 11 of 18 on third down conversions. Washington and Lee just 2 of 9 on third down. And the biggest key today, time of possession. The Yellow Jackets had the ball for 43 minutes and 21 seconds of the 60 minutes. Washington and Lee had the ball for only 16 minutes and 39 seconds in a 20-7 loss against Randolph-Macon here this afternoon. Some statistical leaders for Washington and Lee. Ty Collins, 8 of 13 through the air for 98 yards and a touchdown. Jacob Romero, 18 carries for 57 yards, only 3.2 yards per carry, with his longest run of the day being a 14-yard rush. He also caught a pair of passes for 64 yards, including the only score by the Generals, which was a 63-yard touchdown. That came with 10:47 to play in the 4th. Washington and Lee gave back the ball to Randolph-Macon, down 6 points with 10:47 left in the 4th. Then Yellow Jackets went on a 14-play, 75-yard drive that ate up 9 minutes off the clock as they scored with 1 minute and 47 seconds left in the 4th, kicked the extra point to go up 13. And that is all because the Generals could not come down the field. They turned it over on downs in the next possession, a couple of knee outs, and that was the game for Randolph-Macon. Scoring drives today from the Yellow Jackets. They scored 3 seconds into the second quarter from Cassiola, a 1-yard touchdown run on 4th and goal, which capped off a 21-play, 77-yard drive that lasted 13 minutes. Their next scoring drive with 2 minutes left in the second quarter was a 21-yard field goal, 14 plays, 57 yards, 8.5 minutes off the clock. Kyle Ely kicked another field goal halfway through the third quarter, which was 12 plays, 63 yards for 7 minutes and 32 seconds on that drive. And then that last touchdown drive by Randolph-Macon, 14 plays, 75 yards, 9 minutes of possession, leading a lot to their 43 minutes of time of possession they had here today. A lot of it ended in points. They only punted twice. They scored on 4 of their 7 offensive possessions, a couple of punts, and then those kneel downs at the end as they are victorious over Washington and Lee. Final score, number 20, Randolph-Macon 20, Washington and Lee 7. So both these teams have 2 games left in the regular season. Randolph-Macon will go home next week and play against Ferrum. If they beat the Panthers next week, Randolph-Macon will be conference champs as they will be unable to be caught by anyone in the conference heading into the last week of the season when they play the game against Hampton City at Hampton City on Saturday, November 16th. Washington and Lee at Bridgewater next weekend, a 2 o'clock kickoff up in Bridgewater. And the Generals will wrap up the regular season at home on Saturday the 16th, a 1 o'clock start against Shenandoah on Senior Day. And we'll have that one for you on the Washington and Lee Sports Network. Washington and Lee still number 2 in the conference, a game behind the Yellow Jackets. But now the only way the Generals can win the conference is if Randolph-Macon loses its final 2 games and Washington and Lee wins its final 2 games. Otherwise, Washington and Lee will be on the outside looking in at winning the conference and have to wait their fate for a potential at-large bid for the NCAA tournament. That'll wrap it up for us here today on the Washington and Lee Sports Network. Our final score, number 24 Randolph-Macon 20, Washington and Lee 7, as the Yellow Jackets improve to 5-0 in ODAC play and 7-1 on the season as they win their 5th straight game. Randolph-Macon dominates time of possession, has the ball for over 43 minutes on offense, an efficient 11 of 18 on third down to keep drives alive as they salt away the clock and win it 20-7 over Washington and Lee. The Generals dropped to 5-3 on the season, 4-1 in ODAC play, as they will head into the final 2 weeks of the regular season, a game behind the Yellow Jackets in the conference standings. Randolph-Macon home against Ferrum next week before finishing out the regular season at Hampton-Sydney. The Generals at Bridgewater next week before Senior Day in 2 weeks' time against Shenandoah here at Wilson Field. That'll do it for us on the Washington and Lee Sports Network. I'm Ryan Connell saying thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Number 24, Randolph-Macon, winners over Washington and Lee 20-7, the final at Wilson Field.